ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय राधिकायै प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणाय नामिने। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So today we have a special Harikatha, and this is really in corresponding to the Guru Purnima that we had on July 4th and 5th. So we will really cover some topics which are relevant to Guru and Bhakti. So if you see that everybody is aware of Google. So now if you see that every time they want to know something, they will go to Google and do a search. So in fact on the Guru Purnima I thought this is probably a appropriate thing to really put at front. Oh Google Gurudeva, you have given me knowledge whenever I needed. My Dandavat Pranams on this Guru Purnima. So Google is really kind of our life now. What does Guru means? If you see, there are a couple of Upanishads, they are actually defining what exactly Guru means. So this is from Advayat Araka Upanishad. So what that says is, Gu Shabdas Dvanda Karaha Syat Ru Shabdas Tanni Rotaha Andakarani Roditvat Gururitya Bidiyate. So what this means is gu, that sabda, that the gu means darkness. Ru sabdas. Ru means removing darkness. Because a spiritual master removes the darkness, the name Guru is given. Right? And now who can be a Guru? Because now if you see the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and clearly Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vibra, Kiba Nyasi, Sutra Kene Naya, Yei Krishna Tattva Veta, say Guru Haya. What does it mean? Whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Sudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. That is not easy. Because knowing the science of Krishna includes that Guru should have bhakti. If he knows all the scriptures but doesn't really, have any bhakti, he is not Guru. So the science, knows the science of Krishna completely. And also, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu commands, Yare deka tare kaha Krishna upatesha, amara anyaya guru khana tare yei desha. So the purport is actually nicely, Prabhupada actually putting very nicely. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu commands, you become a spiritual master. But how? I have no qualifications, sir. No, you just accept my order. What does it mean? It has to come from the top. Yeah, one can really do preaching or do this kind of, seva when that Guru instructs. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing. No, you just accept my order. So what is your order, sir? Yare deka tare haga Krishna upadesha. You simply speak the instruction of Krishna, whoever you meet. Then you become a spiritual master. So, but now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not here physically on this planet. So your Guru should command you to really do, act as a Guru or preacher, whatever. Otherwise, what cannot do that? One cannot do, because remember, there is no Sakti hena. That's what the thing that it has to come from Gurudeva, because without the Sakti coming from Gurudeva, we cannot do anything. Nothing will work. We want to think about things and plan, nothing will happen. The Sakti has to come from Gurudeva. Okay? Otherwise, you cannot preach. If Guru says you should preach, then you must preach. At the Ramakrishna, now who can be a guru? If we see that, I don't know whether everybody knows this one. At the Ramakrishna Mission School in Madras, near a football field, there is one slogan on the arch that says, "Playing of football will bring one closer to heaven than the study of the Gita." We are seeing the real harmful effect of this above slogan. This is from Swami Vivekananda. Hardly anyone in India now reads Gita. He was also a Kali worshipper, eating meat. He even ate cows, even when he was in Chicago. He said, eat meat, drink wine to get strong body instead of doing anything else. So now, why I am really kind of actually talking more about Swami Vivekananda is because I am doing a really, with Guru's mercy, I have to do a big operation. Srila Prabhupada has really written, well, I am doing a serious operation, trying to bring all these nonsense people to Krishna. And some Mayavadis like Vivekananda stick knives in the person I am trying to save. He said that. Because this is very dangerous. That's what is going on right now. Now a guru removes all the doubts of his disciples. So now a devotee really, was really coming to our Gurudev and he was asking, I am looking for a guru. And what are the qualities of a good guru, a bona fide guru? And Gurudev says, he has to know all the Shastras, Upanishads and all the scriptures that he has to know. And thus he can remove the devotee's doubts. He has realization of the Supreme Lord, and therefore he is able to transfer Krishna from his own heart to the heart of the disciple. Otherwise, if he doesn't have Krishna in the heart, how can he actually give Krishna to his disciple? It's not possible. And he is quite detached from worldly things. So this is how he is saying. You have to know that he is not attached to the worldly things at all. But the thing is, not anyone can really see that kind of good symptoms. So we can understand that a person is able to remove all kinds of doubts by his responses to our inquiries. However, if one can remove doubts but does not personally follow the rules and regulations of bhakti, that person cannot be a bona fide guru. So, Srila Gurudev said, Guru is the root of bhakti. Guru, Vaishnavas and the sadhus are the roots. A sadhu is able to describe to us the glory of Gurudeva because he himself is, that is how, because when one can really serve to his guru as treating him as the life and everything, then only he can become a guru. He doesn't have anything else in the agenda. So now people say, oh, I got a guru who always pleases me. He is very good character. He has a very character better. You are getting cheated. Our Gurudev, you won't believe how harsh he can be. You should really see the anger, how he chastises. If something he doesn't like, he will judge like that. It will be like a fire. Because many of you have not seen Gurudev. But as if you have really seen, you are singing for him and everything you are doing, but you haven't really seen him at all. If a guru does not chastise you, how will you get rid of your anarthas? Because to get rid of the anarthas only we need a guru, and so that we get cleansed. If he is not chastising you, you are cheated. Now, do we need a guru? Well, did we learn even ABCD by ourselves? Don't you need a teacher for learning music? Don't you need some coach, if you really want to be really master in some sports activities? Don't you need a doctor to really cure your disease? So there is no other way. We need a teacher. That is why, look at here, in the middle of this lockdown, we are desperately to really have a personal, the school, see, look at here. Otherwise, it's not a teaching at all. Whatever you do, it's going to be really not one-to-one. So, now I was talking about Google. Is Google a guru really? I put a small, small cartoon, whatever that I really thought about it. So now, this cartoon, this is somebody else's cartoon. It says, Don't tell me you climbed all the way up here to the Himalayas to searching for me before trying Google. So this is my acronym for Google as it stands right now. G stands for Guru, O stands for online, and the next O stands for omnipresent. It's always available. For if you have a web it's available. G, it is great. And L, learning for ever. You can actually, anytime you can actually, just use Google. And is the Google a guru then? Yeah, he has knowledge. Everything. He answers all my questions. Actually, no. It is actually a junkyard. It cannot guide you as what is right and what is wrong. Just because a library contains so many scriptures, the library cannot be a guru. Google or library thus cannot discipline you, so there cannot be guru. But then, what exactly the thing attached with the guru? Do you really need it? That is what this particular sloka comes into picture. Narayano api vikritim yati guro pratyutasya durbuddhe kamalam jalat apetam susayati ravirna poshayati. When a lotus flower is situated in the water, the rays of the sun causes it to bloom. The same sun, however, will wither and dry the lotus flower which is not situated in water. In this example, the disciple is compared to the lotus and the Sri Guru to the water and the Supreme Lord the sun. Basically, if one worships the Lord without a guru, he is withered, dried of bhakti. There is nothing. Because those who really have ego, I don't need a guru. I can do myself. Everything is do yourself. Right? So for those persons, why they are actually becoming bankrupt in bhakti is because of the same. This is the sloka. So, basically, if one worships the Lord without a guru, is withered, dried like the lotus flower. It is the same sun acting in two different opposite ways. Coming through a guru is blossomed, and coming without a guru is withered. One Sukadeva Goswami went to Vaikuntha to see Lord Vishnu. Who is Sukadeva Goswami? He is the son of Vedavyasa. That is what we are talking about. The whole this Gaura Purnima is about actually Vedavyasa. So that time he did not have a guru. He was refused at the entry itself. So without a guru, no one can even enter Vishnu Loka or Vaikuntha. Okay, and also if you see that this Guru Purnima that we actually started with, it is actually very, very special. It really comes in the summer solstice. The brightest moon comes on this particular time. Okay, and also if you see that in the year, the darkest night, Amavasa, is actually Shivaratri, Mahashivaratri. So Shivaratri is the darkest, and then this is Guru Purnima is the brightest in the year. And these 2 days are spiritually very, very invoking, very, 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 very beneficial. That is why this Guru Purnima was actually assigned to this particular bright moon. Why moon? Why not sun? Again, sun is really very, very hot. But moon is soothing, very, very cool. That is a guru. And the guru really takes the things from the sun, which is Lord Krishna, and they delivers to the disciples in a way which is soothing and then easy and then nicely, very nicely he will give. Easy to digest. Okay. And now why mind? Why mind? Why moon? Moon is related to the mind. Okay. Why moon? Because moon is related to the mind. Without controlling the mind, okay, which is very important for the spiritual sadhana, we cannot advance. Okay. So this is how a lot of things are related there. So our mind for spiritual sadhana is related to the position of the moon, which is especially, again, that is why the Ekadasi, everything is actually coming into picture. And then this particular day is very, very auspicious. That is the day most of the initiations are really done on this day. Alright? Okay, so now, how does one get a guru? All right, I will ask Nanda Kishore Das to really explain this particular sloka.
I'll be saying the sloka Brahmanda Brahmite Kona. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. The meaning of this sloka is, according to their karma, all living entities wandering in each and every universe that are wandering in each and every universe. Some are going to the higher planetary systems, some are staying in the middle planetary systems, and some are going to the lower planetary systems. Out of all the million living entities, one very fortunate entity will get a spiritual master from the grace of the Supreme Lord. If he accepts the spiritual master, then he's guaranteed to reach the Supreme Lord. Then only with the grace of the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master, he will be shown the path to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thank you and Hare Krishna.
So what is that fortune that Nanda Kishore was actually talking about? Bhagyavan Jiva. What is that Bhagyavan? How Krishna selects that someone is actually Bhagyavan, someone is actually fortunate? Very easy. It is a Sukruti. That gives a fortune. In the Jaiva Dharma also, we can see that Sadhu Sangha is obtained by what? Only by Sukruti. If you have Sukruti, your heart will cry for Krishna automatically. When a student is ready, a Guru automatically appears. You don't have to really hunt for Guru. Guru comes. Automatically comes. How a Paramatma will actually show you the Guru. Otherwise, whatever that we try to select, that's not the way that things work. Right? So you simply accept him. Whatever that Paramatma shows that, okay, he is the Guru. So he is the one who is actually linking. It's very simple. But many people try to get Guru by themselves. They ask, is he a high born? Is a Brahmana or something? Or something like that? Is he famous? How many more disciples he really has already? And then how big temple that he has? No, these are all not relevant at all. Is he a sannyasi even? Actually, no. If you see that, how did Mirabai really get Ravidas, who was actually just a cobbler, working with leathers? It was due to her Sukruti. In fact, she was one of the queens of Krishna in Dwaraka. In fact, that Dwaraka, there in the spiritual world, then he was actually given an opportunity to come to Vrindavan anyway. So all the things actually happened, and then finally he became, the same queen back again. So what does a Guru give to you? For Mirabai, her Guru indirectly gave her poison to drink. But what do the foolish people, actually disciples, ask for? Oh, I want blessing, Guruji, I want blessing to win my sports competition. You should really ask a Guru for bhakti only. So what does a Guru do? Not just give mantra, get your name in his diary and then vanish. He's not Guru, no. He is supposed to have constant touch with the disciple. Chastise the disciple to remove anarthas one by one, especially ego, lazy, greed, everything. And to teach you about Krishna. Teaches you to sing Krishna's names and pastimes. And teaches you to preach to others even. Chastise you to chant more and more. How many rounds you are actually chanting? And why not you really chanting more and more? He will chastise you. He will even beat you. That is Guru. So make sure that the disciple is delivered. He is advanced and preparing the disciple towards perfection. And that is what a Guru should do. Not just like everybody can actually become a Guru and then give you the mantra and then vanish. No, that's not Guru. If a Guru does not do like this, you simply dump him in the garbage. That's what our Gurudev says. He's actually totally useless. No real use. In fact, one morning walk of Srila Prabhupada, a Marwadi man, remember that was at the Juhu beach. I think I really told this story. I'm just trying to recollect again. and they were actually going on the road, and all of a sudden, a Marwadi, just like that shows, oh, this is actually famous, famous saintly person. He really comes there, and then bows to Srila Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada asking, what do you want? And oh, Swamiji, I want your blessings. What kind of blessings you want? What kind of blessings you want? Like to be the best in my business and to be wealthy and so on and so on. You know what I mean? You want my blessings? Real blessings? Yes, Swamiji, yes, I want. Then he really turned his face and to really show his disciples who are actually following there with all the ones with what? Bald heads. If you want real blessing, I want you to shave like this, or my the disciples here, and then join me, and then chant Hare Krishna. And then, by telling, Prabhupada really tried to look back, the Marwadi was nowhere seen. He already ran away. So what are the real blessings from Sri Guru? He gives and instills Krishna Bhakti, which is rare. Even Lord Indra cannot have it. It's very rare. Demigods cannot get it. And that only by mercy this is actually flowing down. And only fortunate, only Bhagyavan Jiva gets it. And this Guru, he chastises to remove anarthas. Because we don't, everybody thinks, okay, I get a Guru, I am fine, everything is fine, now I keep going, and then as soon as the Guru says something, no, this is rascal, you should not do this, then what happens? Oh, I don't like this Guru. So they just go somewhere else, looking for some good character. So chastisements are necessary for sadhana. Remember, he is like your father. He has a responsibility to deliver you. So he has to engage you in singing, reading, and the chanting, serving, everything. Otherwise, how can the disciple be delivered? It is the biggest responsibility. Who is to be worshipped first? Sudikshana. Okay, this is Mahabharata. He was a disciple of Bharadwaja. One day he was absorbed in meditation because he really, it was really so intense. And he had really Guru Bhakti, really topmost Guru Bhakti. So he was absorbed in meditation. And all of a sudden, he saw just through the, just through the door, he saw that Krishna and his Guru also, both were coming. And Sudikshana had to think for a moment, to whom to give respect first? God, His Almighty, or His Guru? You know what he did? He bowed to his Guru first. Why? Because it was his Guru who had showed him the God. I want to really call Shyam Sundar Das to really, to talk about this particular sloka.
Let's say one person thinks, many people think that worshipping Krishna is all they need, and only they do not think that they need to have a guru to worship Krishna. But this is actually false, because if you do not have a guru to worship Krishna, then all your efforts will be useless.
Okay, now all right, so Guru to be worshipped first, all right? Now, only Guru Seva can give Krishna Bhakti. A man went to a Guru desiring some spiritual instruction. The Guru said, oh, you know what, okay, you want some instruction from, from me? I will tell you. A Jiva is eternally a servant of Krishna. Ishwar, right? Jivera Surupahaya, Krishnera Nitya Dasa. He told that. Oh, is that all? That's all the instruction that you have for me? Oh, so he was not satisfied. So he went out looking for some good Guru who can actually really inspire something or whatever. So he went to another Guru. Well, And the other guru saw the situation. This guy is really flaky guy. So he said, all right, do one thing. I am not going to instruct you unless you shovel cow dung for 12 years. So the guru gave the order. And after, then he took it. Otherwise, I am not going to teach you. That's it. You have to really do the seva. So for 12 years, he was shoveling cow dung as a seva in his guru's kaushala. He did not call him at all. After 12 years, the guru called the man and told him, now I will tell you. Jiva Swarupakaya, Krishnera Nitya Dasa. Oh, now the disciple immediately realized the nature of his soul and the relation to Krishna. So without doing Guru Seva, you cannot realize spiritual truths. This is the thing. It may really look simple. You can actually read from the scriptures, from Bhagavad Gita is saying something, this is saying something, so many things are there, but you cannot get it. It just goes there, just in the brain, but it doesn't really come down to the heart. Because that is jnana. It's not vijnana. Vijnana means when that really becomes realized. Then only it is only vijnana. Alright? Okay, now, so accepting a guru is essential. Okay? Without guru, as you really see, as we have seen, it's just impossible. I would like to call Damodar Priya to really explain this particular sloka.
Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jignashu shreya uttamam sabde paricha nishnatam brahmanyupasamashayam. Any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The overall meaning of this sloka is saying, the main goal of a human life is take shelter under a guru, chant the holy names of the Lord, and learn about his pastimes. Then only will one achieve real happiness. And none of this can happen without a guru. Thank you and Hare Krishna.
Now, also, following a guru's order, we should not ask why at all. Some devotees came to Kabir one day and asked him, can you tell who is a true disciple? It was on a daytime, it's full hot sun, and it's a bright day. Kabir called his son, he is actually the foremost disciple. So his name was Kamal. Okay, he was one of the foremost disciples. So he said, oh Kamal, come here. I have dropped my spindle while weaving, because remember, Kabir was actually a weaver. All right, he used the spindle to really, to weave the cloth. So I just lost the spindle. It really, fell somewhere here. Can you bring me a lamp so that I can find it? And it was broad daylight. Yet Kamal went and then brought a lamp without questioning. Then Kabir said, Kamal, today there are going to be many devotees coming here for lunch. Why don't you prepare some sweets and then add, by the way, make sweets, but add a lot of salt on it. Kamal obeyed without asking anything. Who in the world will really put salt in the sweets? Then Kabir turned to those devotees who asked the question. Don't you think that Kamal knew that my commands were actually ridiculous? But the moment you begin to obey the Guru's command without question, that moment meditation comes to you spontaneously and the Lord grants you his darshan. But what does the modern disciples do? And the Guru says, hey, go to the shop and then get a banana. Oh, Guruji, what if the shop is not open? See, this is what the question immediately comes back. Nowadays, the modern child is really always ready with so many counter questions. So automatically it will come there. The Guru says, go and then get it. Oh, Guruji, what if the shop does not have banana? They may have something else only. Go and get it. Guruji, what if I am bitten by a snake on the way? Go and get it. Guruji, is it okay that I can buy it tomorrow? Will this kind of devotee get any mercy at all from the Lord? Of course, not from Guru. Will he get any mercy at all? Guru will do lot of testing. Otherwise, he cannot really see, like Krishna tests, the Lord, Guru also tests. I have seen. It's really sometimes really, because otherwise, if the disciple is not put into testing, how can he really get purified? If you live the same life as you are doing right now, no improvement, nothing, or status quo, what kind of improvement, what kind of advancement that you will get it? Because you have problem, that is why you are born here, and then you have to get rid of these anarthas. But for that, Guru, obeying to Guru's order without asking why is very important. Next comes ego and pride. This is built in. Because people may be look small, but the ego behind them, which we cannot see, is like Himalayas. This is how it is there. I will tell you a story about Sukadeva Goswami. Remember, I told you that he wanted to go to heaven, to go to Vaikuntha. But there he was stopped by the gatekeepers. And when they found out that he doesn't have a guru, so he was not allowed to really enter at all. So he came back and he was really very, very unhappy. But he was having a lot of pride that time. Why? Because he was the son of Vedavyasa. It's the topmost rishi. So he had a lot of pride. So he was asking his father what can be done. That his father, Vedavyasa, said, you know what? I will advise you to go to Janaka Maharaj. Janaka Maharaj is the only one who can be guru for you. Then Sukadev, he really laughed. How can you say this, father? What is common between a sannyasi and a king who is enjoying? But Vedavyasa said, no, you have to go. You go and then get him as your guru. So Sukadev, without really that much of interest, so hesitatingly he was actually going. But on the way, he thought about, no, I am not going to get a guru like Janaka Maharaj. He is a king. How can I? So he returned back. Again, his father Vedavyasa told, go again, go. So like this, it was happening 12 times. Now, he was going for 13th time. And on the way, he was again thinking, I am not going to go. How can he be a guru? He is not even a Brahmana. He is a king who is enjoying. How can he become? Because I am born to Vedavyasa, who is highest of everything. And how can I really take under this Janaka Maharaj, who is a king? So he was there off the way. By the time Narada Muni was little merciful, he happened to see all the things happening to Sukadeva Goswami. He came down, and he came down with a basket full of dust. The earth dust he was carrying, and he was coming and near to the place where the Sukadeva Goswami was actually passing by, and there was a river nearby, and he really came as a Brahmana. Sukadeva Goswami was actually sitting there taking rest. There is a small river nearby. So now Narada Muni really came with a basket of dust, and just in front of Sukadeva Goswami, he was really trying to put those dust to really block the river, the flowing river. He was trying to block by throwing out. But all the things were getting washed away. And Sukadeva Goswami was seeing this one, and he really laughed at him. Oh Brahmana, what are you trying to do? If you want to stop the river flow, you have to put some rocks or something, or put some sticks first, and then you really put some heavy mud, and then after that you put your own mud. Otherwise, how can you sticks? Oh, then for that Narada Muni said, I am wasting only 1 day of my work. But there is a person called Sukadeva Goswami who happened to be the son of the great Veda Vyasa. He has really lost 12 times, he has really, 12 chances he really has lost. And then immediately Sukadeva Goswami realized his mistake. Yes, this is the 13th time we are actually going. And he fainted by hearing. Oh, this is something actually sent by, some arrangement. So he really fell unconscious. And by that time he really got up. Narada Muni vanished. So he really went straight away to Janaka Maharaj this time. And when he went, he really told the servants out there and saying, I am coming. I am, Sukadev, son of Veda Vyasa, is actually coming to see Janaka Maharaj. So the servants went and then informed Janaka Maharaj. But Janaka Maharaj did not do anything. And the Sukadeva Goswami was actually waiting near a wall where there are so much of dumps of garbage were there. So he was standing there and he was actually standing on that, and Janaka Maharaj did not respond at all. And then what happened? Sukadeva Goswami was really absorbed, was pulled into the garbage inside, and he was buried inside the garbage for 4 days. Janaka Maharaj did not call him at all. On the 4th day, then he really sent to servants. Oh, there is Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadev, you can actually get him from the garbage and then give him a bath and then bring him here. So he was brought in front of Janaka Maharaj, and there Janaka Maharaj was actually asking, okay, all right, how are you? All right. So he gave a seat to really sit there. And because Sukadeva Goswami's pride was still there, he was not really yet prepared. So all of a sudden, Janaka Maharaj actually made an illusion that his servants came and running and saying, oh Maharaj, our whole city is in fire. And Janaka Maharaj said, so be it, that is God's will. And then after some time again, few more servants came running and then told Janaka Maharaj, oh Maharaj, our courtyard and everything is now all in fire. Okay, so be it. It's all Lord's wish, no problem. And then again, few more servants actually came and then told, oh Janaka Maharaj, this palace is also now catching fire. We will be finished in no time. Then he said, don't worry, it's all God's will, whatever that is there. Meanwhile, Sukadeva Goswami grabbed his small piece of cloth, where whatever that he brought in, and he tried to run away, saying that I am out of here. He was running away, and immediately Janaka Maharaj caught him. Wait, who is renunciant? You thought that I am actually enjoying all these things, and what kind of positions that are actually at risk right now? My entire city, kingdom, courtyard, my palace itself is actually burning now. And I am not bothered about. I am just leaving everything at the will of the Lord. But you try to really protect this small bundle of cloth. And now tell me, who is the renunciant? You or me? All right. Okay, then Sukadeva Goswami actually came down. Oh, yes, I am sorry. Yes, I want to really get initiation from you. Janaka Maharaj said, no, you are not qualified yet. I will do a test. I am going to really arrange a big festival to invite you. You will be the chief guest because you are Sukadeva Goswami, who is actually son of Veda Vyasa. All right, big festival. There will be so many wonderful scenes to see and enjoy your day. One full day you go and then come back. After that, I am going to give you initiation. However, there is one command. I am going to give you a small pot of milk. That you have to keep it on your head. And you really enjoy everything. But even a single drop of milk, really, if it really fell down from that pot, immediately my servants will cut your head off. Go. I am the king. I am giving the order. So Sukadeva Goswami, by taking that pot of milk, was really going. And the whole day he was really going, and the servants were all to taking him to really show wonderful dances and these and that, everything was there. Wonderful sceneries. And at the end he came back and Janaka Maharaj asked, did he enjoy? What did he see? Yes, I really made sure that not even a single drop of milk actually came out of it. But did he enjoy? No. I didn't see anything. So many things were going on, but I did not see anything there. That is how I am. You think that I am enjoying. No. I am actually spending the time just for the Lord. I am thinking how I can actually increase my devotion day by day, so that I can worship the Lord all the time. I have all the things, but I never see any of this opulence. Then Sukadeva Goswami's pride went in just like that in the air. And then then Janaka Maharaj said, okay, I am actually now giving you the, initiation. Now you are ready, you are set, your ego is gone, and you have understood. By just looking at the appearance of someone, you cannot really judge their character. It's not possible. Because a disciple cannot see a genuine guru. It's just not possible. He will look, see, we are reading Jaiva Dharma, look at here. It's not possible. Ordinary eyes cannot recognize a real guru. So Guru burns all your karmas and delivers you. Guru burns all your karmas and delivers you. How does he really take up the karma? At the time of initiation, a guru gives sambandha jnana. He transfers some of the spiritual power to the disciple by the mantra. Regularly, he checks the progress with the disciple afterwards and constantly engages in sadhana. He gives orders to be followed to spiritually advance. Although it is said that Guru takes the karma of the disciple, it actually what that means is, yes, because if a disciple is really doing all the bad things, the karma comes to the Guru. That is why, you have to be really thankful to really somebody is actually giving you the mantra and the initiates you. Because it is his mercy. He takes your karma. Then he makes you to do the sadhana, and eventually what happens? Everything, all the karmas, everything will eventually go away. So a bad disciple can make a guru really fall down. Okay, this is what you have to really understand. So only a guru can give sambandha jnana, as I said. That is when the initiation time, that's what happens there. Okay. Now I would like to call Madan Mohini to really, this is actually our sloka, in fact, that came from Gurudev. In fact, whatever. This is Gokul Bhajan sloka 21. Yes, Madan Mohini, please unmute your phone and then you explain the sloka.
Mangalam Shri Gurum Sukha Padam Manasam Deham Chetarpanam Sambandam Dadatum Te Abhutam Sharanam Shri Gurum Pada Sharanam. The meaning of the sloka is, my repeated obeisances unto the glorious lotus feet of Sri Gurudev, by giving my body, mind, and intelligence for serving him. He is the one who gives the real relation, the sambandha, to Sri Krishna. I take shelter at his lotus feet. So in bhakti, there are three different aspects: sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. So sambandha is the first aspect, and that means, as a jiva, what is our relation to Krishna? That is, that we are the part and parcel of Krishna. But who gives that realization? And that realization that we are the soul and not the body, and we are a part and parcel of Krishna. Only the Guru will teach that. After this realization, you will move to the next aspect, which is Abhideya. And Abhideya mainly consists of sadhana, which is spiritual practices. These include things like chanting, singing, serving the deities, and serving the guru. All of these things then finally prepare you for the last aspect, prayojana. Prayojana is the reason why we follow all these other aspects. And prayojana is our final goal. And that final goal is Krishna. And we can only be led to this final point by a guru. So now I will break down the sloka into word by word meaning. So Mangalam Shri Gurum Sukhapadam. I offer obeisances to the feet of the guru. Then it says Manasam, which is mind, Deham, which is body, Chit, which is intelligence, and Arpanam, I surrender. Then next it says Sambandha, the relation to Krishna, Dadatum, the guru gives. And then it says Te Arputam, which is the most wonderful thing. And then it finally says Sharanam Shri Gurum Pada Sharanam. I take shelter at the Guru's lotus feet. Thank you and Hare Krishna.
Now, can anyone ever repay for what a guru does? Tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmashaparam Shravanamangalam Srimad Atatam Bhuvi Grinandiye Bhurida Jana. What exactly a guru really does? He does not really want you to really succeed and be rich or famous or something. That is not a guru is supposed to be doing. A guru is supposed to be really taking you to Krishna by giving harikathas and all the nectarian harikathas that is coming from the lotus mouth of Gurudev. Who can really pay for it? There is no... See, those things bring Krishna automatically into our heart. It is that Tavakatamritam, your nectarian kathas is the Tapta Jivanam. That is actually the Jivanam of our Jiva. Our Jiva, that's all it really needs. Our Jiva does not need money. Does not need to be really famous or beautiful or... No, it's not. So that is what a guru is supposed to give. And to that guru, Bhuvi Granandiye, Bhurida Jana. So certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are the most munificent in the entire world.
जगतुपयकरन भवतु महतरन पङ्कजपदं शरणं तव पङ्कजपदं शरणं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जगतुपयकरन भवतु महतरन पङ्कजपदं शरणं तव पङ्कजपदं शरणं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जनन मरण भय भुवन मम तवेन मनोरथ हन्तित नित्यं मनोरथ हन्तित नित्यं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जनन मरण भय भुवन ममत विन मनोरथ हन्तित नित्यम् मनोरथ हन्तित नित्यम् मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जगदुपयकरन भवतु महतरन पंकज पदं शरणं तव पंकज पदं शरणं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा रमण श्रिय प्रिय कमन सेवकर दय पर पावन तारम् दय पर पावन तारम् मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा रमण श्रिय प्रिय कमन सेवकर दय पर पावन तारम् दय पर पावन तारम् मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जगदुपयकरन भवतु महतरन पंकज पदं शरणं तव पंकज पदं शरणं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा जगदुपयकरन भवतु महतरन पंकज पदं शरणं तव पंकज पदं शरणं मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा 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 मम नाविकपति गुरुदेवा
गुरुचरण कमल भज मन गुरुचरण कमल भज
Thank you so much. And Hare Krishna, Vanja Kalpa Tarupcha Kripa Sindhu Pevach Padithanam Bhavanephyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.